Hi, my name's Damara, and today I'm going to be talking about something in your body that enables you to have a good perception of reality. Okay, and this is something that's a little known fact. A lot of people talk about the pineal gland and make it something metaphysical. But is it metaphysical? A kind of crazy, weird thing to begin to understand and comprehend your perception of reality and whether this is a misinformed perception of reality. I find this whole subject really interesting because there's a majority of people in our collective that just want to go out there and live what they call a normal life. And what is a normal life? This in itself is a huge question because people who go out there and live what is considered normal will be doing all of the things that change their perception of reality because they have ended up with a calcified pineal gland. The pineal gland doesn't only affect your perception of reality, it affects your sleep patterns. It also affects your decision making, okay? It affects the third eye. It produces melatonin. And it receives messages of light from the eyes. Okay, this is a huge part of your human technology, which you may be in a state of deterioration from at the moment without even knowing that. If you ask a doctor, he's probably going to laugh because doctors do not look at the function. In fact, they know very little about the pituitary gland. They know that it calcifies, and they also know that the tissue in the pineal gland has the highest rate of calcification. So they have some facts on it, but they're not going to be able to talk to you about why this is important, because in order to do so, and there may be some doctors like naturopaths and doctors who are like have a foot in each camp, and they actually practice natural techniques and will also talk to you about homeopathy, which is a energetic medication. And they will also talk to you about the more mechanistic type of medications. So they may have, in fact, gone into understanding what the pituitary gland does. Some of the facts that you need to know, if you're still here with me and you haven't already switched off, is that there are certain things that we do in our lives which affect greatly our pineal gland. The first one is fluoride. Fluoride is in a lot of things. I mean, it's in a lot of natural produce that we eat, vegetables and fruit, but it's not in high amounts. It is in brown, what I call brown tea, which is Indian tea. It's also in black tea, which is the China tea. But it depends how it's assimilated. But it's definitely in these brown or black teas. And because, this is an interesting fact, because when the tea grows, it assimilates great amounts of fluoride if it's available in the soil. This is the part you need to know, and this is why the teas, the normal, like in England, it would be your normal teas on the shelf, but it's also the Chinese teas. I remember years and years and years ago understanding about fluoride already, and as soon as I knew that it was this chemical agent that would be affecting my body in some way, and probably my nervous system, my brain, everything, I stopped all fluoride. And I actually stopped drinking English tea, which was quite a strange thing for me to do since I was English. But I did it because to me, it's always been a priority to keep my body functioning and my mind and my emotions and my connection to source in prime condition. Don't ask me why this has been a total priority, because all I know is that it has, and that I really respond to information like this. So as soon as I heard about the tea containing lots of fluoride and that I shouldn't be drinking it, I stopped. And I had to wean myself off. That's the other thing, because it has a lot of caffeine in it. So you really need to go through a weaning process with that. But I didn't particularly know an enormous amount about the fact that tea assimilated lots of fluoride as it grew, because it had this ability, the plant of the tea plant has this ability to draw up loads of fluoride. So if you want to know why, before you stop drinking tea, that's the reason. It really does pull up loads through its biological growth. So in your water, again, as soon as I found out about fluoride, that was also part of my not drinking lots of tap water. But, mine was also qualified by the fact that I knew water had a memory, and that whatever had been in it, even though it had been cleansed somewhat, the layers of putrefaction from the water before it was cleansed would still be there. So I had double reason not to ever drink tap water. But fluoride is hugely damaging to your pineal gland. It is part of the calcification process. So we have tea, we have the fluoride in the water. Something else that also contains fluoride is all the chemicals, all the chemicals in pesticides that are affecting our vegetables and fruit. They also contain fluoride. This is another reason to eat organic. Grow your own, or however you're going to do this, but to keep your system pure. You are the only one responsible for that. Don't rely on the world at large and the systems within that, because there's a lot of ignorance and there's a lot of sabotage. And it doesn't matter which, both of them are causing you problems if you rely on what you think the system is doing good by producing all of these vegetables covered in pesticide. One of the other things that contains fluoride is the non-stick surfaces. This is another thing that I've stayed away from. Again, not because I knew it was fluoride. I didn't. I only knew that until I was checking my research to see that I knew as much as I could about what would calcify the pineal gland. And remember, this is a gland. This is the strange thing about it. This is not some whopping big gland. This is, they say, as big as a grain of rice. Others say it's the size of a soybean. I don't know why there's two different ideas there about it, because certainly the medical profession should know how big this is. Or does it change size, or do we all have a different size pineal gland? That I don't know. But what I do know is in various sources of research, I found that some people referred to it as a small soybean, as some referred to it as even smaller, and to be the size of a grain of rice. But if you have such a delicate, powerful gland in your body that changes your perception of reality, then you really need to begin to be responsible for the health of that gland. So once we know this, I've just got a wonderful quote here from Descartes, the philosopher from the 1600s, who wrote that the pineal gland is the principal seat of the soul and the place in which all of our thoughts are formed. That's powerful, isn't it? This is what he felt, and he's a very famous deep philosopher, Descartes. Look that up for yourself. What I'm going to go through now is, so how can we help ourselves? Well, obviously, we help ourselves by stopping all these things that, if we even had 100% common sense, surely we know that chemicals in a natural, energetic, physical, material, biological system cannot be good because they do not belong there. And all the things we're talking about here, like fluoride, is obviously excessive, and it should never have been put in the water ever. And we should never, ever have had passed into our system of safety non-stick pans. I mean, there are many things about the chemicals in non-stick pans. Do not buy them. There are so many processors now that give you the ability to go out and buy your cooking pans without that coating, and they still have a certain non-stick property. Certainly there are ceramic systems now. I've bought a couple that have like a ceramic surface, but there are many. I haven't really looked into it that much. I just have what I have, and I know they're okay. But we do need, if we are people who've gone into trusting totally the system that we live within, and that if the product is on the market, that it must be safe. I mean, that is mistrust. I can tell you that in so many ways, but we won't go into why we do it here. But certainly there are millions of people who need help decalcifying their pineal without much trouble, because what the first thing is you do is stop all chemicals in your body. Stop all the processed food, all the food that is affected with pesticides. So go for organic, go for straight normal food. What would have been considered normal food decades ago. I mean, I know my parents, when I was brought up as a child, did not eat any processed food. There wasn't any. There was no supermarkets in the 50s and 60s. I was born in 48. So we ate vegetables, fruit. We ate meat and fish. I mean, I now don't. I'm vegan. But we did eat the meat and fish, but we didn't eat chemicals. So we grew up very, very healthy until the 60s, when the supermarkets came in, and then everybody started to trust the system and buy all these packets, tins, boxes, pouches, tetra cartons of food, which had never been available until then. And all of them contain what they see as permissible amounts of chemicals, additives, artificial flavoring, sweeteners, everything like that, which is not food. So if you want to decalcify your pineal gland, you need to take out all chemicals and start to eat real food. The other things that the really heavy product containing fluoride is toothpaste. And I've always been seen as weird because I won't ever buy it. I do pay the extra price and buy the toothpaste that does not have fluoride. You can buy it in tubes just like all the others. It will have lovely natural peppermint flavoring, and it will have the ability to clean your teeth, but it doesn't contain fluoride. I still have a full mouth of my own teeth. My teeth didn't rot because I didn't put fluoride in my mouth. And this is a really biggie on the fluoride content. Do not do it, because even though you should be spitting it out, although I've seen children now having grandchildren, I've watched my grandchildren when they were little just swallow mouthfuls of it, and I'm like horrified. But most adults don't swallow it, but they don't bother about really, really swishing out that toothpaste with clear, beautiful water, not tap water. I mean, think about it. You got all that fluoride in your mouth from the toothpaste. You're also gonna start putting fluoride water in your mouth to get rid of the fluoride in the toothpaste, which is not even possible, is it? You're going to have bottled water to do this. You're going to have to start drinking bottled water. For a long time, I actually, in England, drank distilled water because I bought a distiller. Here, I haven't managed to do that yet, but I drank distilled water, which is ultra, ultra pure, and will start to cleanse your body out in a bigger way than even bottled spring water will do, mineral water. So real biggies here is the toothpaste and all the chemicals, all the additives. I'm just going to check my notes here, because although I've known about this for years, I'm trying to give you a full list of all the products that contain it and that really do need to be let go of. And what I'm going to go into, I think I've got all of that. What I'm going to go into is some of the foods. I mean, obviously, fresh, normal food will start to decalcify your pineal because it's not getting high amounts of fluoride. So it starts the healing detox process, which all parts of your body do. This is why it's really great to go on to a real healthy, natural diet, because it enables every cell in your body to detox in a better way, in the way that it should. And if you never stop putting the chemicals in, your body never, ever really detoxes each cell at the right time and in the right way to the whole extent. And this is why we have all these diseases everywhere in our society, because our bodies really don't ever get the chance unless you fast. And that's another good thing to do if you are going to carry on eating the crap diet out there, excuse my language. You will need to fast every now and again, but it doesn't really give you the safety of having full health. What does is stopping all the chemicals. But in order to begin to actually help the detox of the pineal gland and get rid of the calcification, you can use things like oregano oil has been mentioned. Eating more of a strong cacao chocolate, like 90% cacao or 85%, there are things in there that will help. All the chlorophyll-rich foods actually help too. So all the green, like the spinach and the watercress and I'm sure cabbage, broccoli, all of them to a certain extent, but definitely things like spinach, which are the soft leaf, very green vegetables, will have a lot of the chlorophyll in, and that helps. Another thing that's mentioned is neem, which is it's like I've used neem oil. It's an Indian product, and you can get all sorts of types of neem, which is a herbal product that actually helps a lot. Just checking here, because I've never had to do it. I never had to decalcify my pineal because I stopped these things decades and decades ago without even really knowing that they were or could have calcified my pineal. I just did it by intuition, instinct, that my body needed to be kept clear of all chemicals and additives and things like that. Two other things that I've just noticed here I didn't mention is blue crab and shrimp have a lot of fluoride, again, because they will absorb more, probably from the water or whatever they're eating themselves. That may be all the things that in particular. Don't forget to stop drinking the brown tea and go on to green tea if you need that caffeine. You won't need as much because green tea gives you a much quicker energetic boost. But going on to green or white tea, obviously the white tea has not got the fluoride in it either, because it's a purer growth of tea when it grows white. Just checking here. I made just a few rough notes to make sure that things for decalcification were here. Do you know, scientists did an experiment on rats, and they took all because a lot of information went out about fluoride. This was a couple of decades ago, when people really started to distrust the governments when they were putting loads of it into water systems in cities. And scientists were doing lots of experiments. But one experiment they did when it came up about the pineal gland was that they did experiments with rats where they took out all food for the rats that would have had excess fluoride in. So they gave the rats very pure food with no pesticides, like organic food, to do this experiment. And what they found was taking out all the chemicals and making the food purer. They had, within 4 to 6 weeks, they had more pineal gland cells present, which meant that when something calcifies, it becomes encrusted, doesn't it? And the cells won't be there in such a good amount, and they won't be healthy. But they did find this in rats. So that's really interesting that there was an actual experiment. I'm sure this was a side result that came, because I can't see that anybody would have paid, unless it was like a high up government department, because we know things behind the scenes are not what they present to the public. So that it may have been that indeed they were looking at that, but then they were not going to massively start to ban chemicals, because they never did they? Even though the experiments were done, they were quite prepared for the main bulk of the public to still be getting calcified pineal glands. But that's just how it works. I think that's, eating healthy, stopping the tea, stopping the toothpaste, stopping the water. Don't drink tap water. Either get yourself a good system that goes in. I'm not sure any of them take out the whole imprint of the fluoride. This is what would concern me, because when, for me, the fact that water had a memory, which was something that I channeled in it was around 1991, but it came out in science after that and was proved by Masaru Emoto, who crystallized water samples, different samples, and discovered that it did indeed have a memory. But the actual not having the physical fluoride in your water is a start. But for me, it was like, just don't even drink that water that they say they've cleansed. Because with the water knowledge as well, I knew that the imprint would still be there in the matrix of whatever putrefaction had come before it. But that's not what this video is about. I will do more and more videos on the water, because it's so important that people begin to understand the element of water in all its amazing qualities. But this is about the pineal, so just stop drinking tap water. and go on to drinking bottled water. You know, this is for the people who really understand that we need to have a proper perception of reality and not be walking around asleep. And I think, you know, that term being asleep is an interesting one, because it is all about our perception of reality, or are we in a unconscious dream state of everything that's pushed at us? So you're either one of those people who really realizes the importance of being awake, or you're not. So I'm sure we probably don't have everyone with us at the end of this video that we had at the beginning, but that's not important. What is important is that this information goes out to all of those that want it, that need it, that know how important it is to be in a high perception of reality. So I'm going to leave it there for now and let you digest this information, and maybe think twice when you're going around the supermarkets to pick up all the corrupted, mutated food. It's not in your interest in so many different ways. So thank you for listening. Please subscribe if you like the quality and the depth of the information that I'm able to impart on this channel. And thank you for allowing me into your space today. Bye for now.